What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Let's talk about it. And I wanted to make this video to share an experience I had at the Milton courthouse on October 5th, 2015, before Justice Stephen Brown. On that day, I'll never forget this day. I was there on a criminal matter, on a breach of probation, and a drug possession charge. During this proceeding, this judge humiliated me. He made a comment that I'll never forget. And basically, there were witnesses in that room that heard this, but the real issue with this whole video and why I put it on hold for a year is that this judge's comments cannot be heard on the audio recordings, nor can they be found in the transcripts. I know what I heard. And so the question is if the statement was made, why was it not heard on the audio recording, and why was it not readable on the transcripts? So that's why I'm doing this video. I continue to, most of my life, I've dealt with these malicious prosecutions. I've dealt with this judicial abuse. And this day particularly, I was so humiliated and so embarrassed in a room full of people that I'll never forget. And basically, this judge said to me before he ordered me to pay $1,500 for a breach of probation, he said to me, "Wasn't your mother murdered?" And I'll never forget that. And I remember too that like a Spanish lady or a West Indian lady, after I was done with the proceeding, she came outside to comfort me, to console me. And I remember saying, "Yeah, I'm okay. But I was just in complete shock." So I just, I'm a little bit puzzled because I wanted to do this video like a year ago. And when I ordered the transcripts to get fully prepared, you guys know how I usually make my videos. I make them fully detailed, full of supporting evidence. I wanted those transcripts to back up what I'm saying is the truth, and it is the truth. But they couldn't be found anywhere on those transcripts. I got a copy of the audio recordings. They could not be heard on the audio recordings. Basically, I even reached out to, I'm going to get into the whole background of this case, why I was before this judge, and I'm going to get into some more details, but I reached out to a forensic audio expert over Fiverr. And, you get these individuals, they're overseas or, and basically I was looking for some assistance to, if you get someone from Canada, a forensic audio expert, you usually get them for trials, and you can see if someone's manipulated with the audio recordings, if they edited them, they altered them. They can go up to $5,000 in Canada, here in Canada. So I was trying to just do, some early stage, I guess, investigating with this audio recording. There was a few people that just looked at the audio recording and they could not see if this audio had been edited. I'd asked them to stretch out the wavelengths and see if and where it had been split or it had been chopped or it had been cut. And I don't know what kind of, if any, what they did with the audio recording, but this is what happened to me. I got humiliated. I was embarrassed. This comment was so uncalled for. It was just excessive. And I'm going to get into why I was even in this court. And to be honest, I shouldn't even been in this court, like most court proceedings. But what happened was, leading up to this comment that was made on May 20th, 2015, I was over at Solid Gold Strip Club here in Burlington. And I remember I had probation, so I was before Justice Brown for a breach of probation and a drug possession I don't know what it was. They basically Found it in a hallway in a police station, and then they ended up charging me with possession. So I'll get into all those details. But I was on probation from this judge. This judge had handed me a 3-year probation term. And I remember when I did go before him, it was my first criminal record at 29. I was looking for sympathy, and I said, hey, you know, there was drugs and alcohol leading up into my first arrest, and I was just trying to get sympathy, you know, and it backfired. And this judge gave me 3 years probation, no drinking, no drugs. And that was in 2014. And so on May 20th, I'm at Solid Gold in Burlington. And basically I'm in the strip club, and there was a beer in front of me. There was a Heineken. And I remember I was at a table with some people, and 3 officers came up to me, approached me in the strip club. And they said, hey, Mr. Dobson, why you drinking, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, first of all, where do these cops come from? They didn't give me a chance to explain myself. What happened was, if I were to guess, these cops were searching license plates in the parking lot. And they seen my car. I had a red Hyundai Genesis. It was a 2-door, 3.8 liter standard. They knew my car. And so they, what do you call that? You know what I mean? They're in the parking lot, they're searching license plate, they see my car. 3 officers, what do you call that? Entrapment or something, you know what I mean? So they came up in there. They said, oh, you know, you got your probation. They said, you're gonna be arrested. They brought me outside. The officer, now, I seen this officer's name, this constable's name on these. This was my court proceeding. This is the, I guess after that day in October. And in this information, it says Constable Dan Kubis. So I think this was the officer that arrested me. So before this officer put me in his car, the vehicle, the police vehicle, the cruiser, he searched my pockets. He searched me everywhere. I had cargo pants. He searched all my pockets twice. They brought me to the police station. I don't know if it was Oakville or, Burlington, Walker's Line. They brought me to one of their stations. They searched me again. This constable searched me again. Searched my pockets, cargo pockets, this pocket, front pockets, back pockets. Searched me thoroughly twice. Brought me to the station. Put me in a holding cell. They put me in a holding cell. And then they said, okay, you're gonna leave, or we're gonna charge you. I get over to, I guess, the sergeant, whoever it was. I'm sitting down. My grandparents were there, and I remember another officer came in, and he's like, "Oh, I have to talk to you." They pulled him outside. They were talking. The sergeant came into the room, and he put a bag. I don't know if it was pills or brown powder, but he looked at me. He's like, "What is that?" And I'm like, "I don't know." He says, "No, they're pressing me. I'm like, "I don't know what that is." I'm like, I don't know if I asked them or they told me, but I remember them saying it's brown powder. And I remember saying, they're pressing me, like, what is it? Like, I don't know, but I know that brown powder is generally heroin or MDMA. So they end up charging me with possession. And they told me that the pill, this bag of pills or whatever, was in a hallway. It was on the floor in a hallway. And I was like, check the cameras. They checked the cameras. They didn't see me drop them. They checked all their surveillance, and they still charged me. They gave me 2 charges: the breach of probation and the drug possession. So I was, I think June 20th. June 20th might have been my first appearance. I remember I hired Scott Aird out of Oakville, criminal lawyer. Some guy suggested him. So I hired Scott Aird. Scott Aird wanted $1,500 per charge plus HST. It was like $1,700 and change. I remember telling him I'm not going to retain him for this drug charge because I didn't have the drugs. I didn't drop them. And there was no evidence. There was nothing, no surveillance. Nobody saw it, no witnesses. I did not drop that bag of drugs or whatever it was in that station. So dealing with Scott was bullshit, to be honest. In my opinion, he was unprofessional dealing with me. I regret retaining him. He did not listen to me. He was not helpful. And I remember on my first appearance at that courthouse, and I don't know if it was June 20th or not, in Milton, he told me he was not available. And I remember I was working at that time, and he told me he wasn't available. So I had to take time off work, and I had to go to that courthouse in Milton on Steeles. When I went to that courthouse, as I'm walking I parked in the parking lot. As I'm walking to the entrance, the front entrance, I see Scott Aird there. Scott is not walking. We're walking. Now I'm walking. He's walking. I'm like, what the hell is this guy doing here? He told me he was not available on this day. I was in shock. I should have confronted him. I didn't say anything. And we go into the courthouse. He talks to the Crown. He was there for another case that day. If you look up the records, he was there on another case that day. He told me he was not available. I remember that clearly. And I remember waiting in the area, and he went to go talk to the Crown. And he came out, and I remember I had a shaved head, and he rubbed my head. He rubbed my head, my scalp. And he's like, oh, good news. And I'm like, what's the, he's like, oh, they're dropping the drug charges if you plead to the breach. And I'm like, I was never pleading to the drug charges anyways. Like, that was a bogus. And I don't know. I just remember, I'm trying to think I got Wednesday. Yeah, I think it was Wednesday, June 17th. Was my first appearance. I think I had him at that appearance. But we went for another appearance, and I remember we went before one judge, and I'm like, I didn't want to plead guilty to him. I was pleading guilty. I didn't want to plead guilty to him. And then we go back to court. It's October the 5th, and it's like, oh, it's Justice Stephen Brown. And I'm thinking, oh shoot, you know what? He was kind of lenient with me when he gave me my first jail sentence in Milton. And I remember thinking, I'll go plead before him. And again, I'll never forget this day. I was in the morning. There was 3 people before me. There was 2 guys and a girl. The 2 guys, I remember correctly, they were there on driving offenses. One guy was there like on a driving while suspended license. It was his 4th or 5th time. Justice Brown gave him like a $1,500 fine or a $1,700 fine. The other guy, it was like another driving offense. And it was the same. I think he gave him like a $1,750 fine. There was a female there. That female, she was there on heroin charges, and they dropped the heroin charges. She was there to ask for her scales back. And Justice Brown gave her scales back. I was shocked. I was completely shocked. I'm thinking, oh, he's in a good mood. He's going to deal with me proper. So then we go on lunch. And I'm waiting in the hallway. I'm waiting outside of the courtroom. It was upstairs. And I guess they're calling me. I couldn't hear them. They're calling me. I'm outside. I'm waiting. Scott Aird comes outside, and he's giving me attitude. He's being snarky with me. And he's like, where are you? Where they're calling you, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I'm here. I didn't hear anybody. Never left the building, never left the floor. I remember specifically asking Scott to ask for a $300 fine. And he said no. He refused to ask for a $300 fine. And then he kept walking. He kept walking in the courthouse. He wouldn't talk to me. Why? Because he worked a deal out with that Crown attorney. Would be my guess. And that Crown attorney was Arish Khorshid. Crown attorney Arish Khorshid. Okay. And when I went to that courtroom, they called me up. And I remember going to that courtroom, and I remember looking to it was a full courtroom. Brendan Neal was sitting on the bench to the right of me. He was a previous lawyer that I used before that he dropped me. He was sitting there. And then as I remember going to the left, there was this Crown attorney, Arish Khorshid. He had these two big Halton Region Police officers beside him. And basically, I was shocked. I was shocked to see the cops. I was shocked to see Brendan Neal. Scott Aird was on the right side or something. He was away. He was on the right side. I remember going to the left or something. And they intimidated me. Those cops intimidated me. Those two cops there. And I remember the proceeding started unfolding, and we were talking. And when the judge was asking me to speak, I remember before he made this comment. I remember, and I will not forget it. He said, "Wasn't your mother murdered?" And he knows she was. He knows. He heard about it at that case I dealt with them before. It was a domestic. And that's what I was there before him. And what happened was, and I'll get into a whole video on this, is that in 2014, I got caught up with my ex. I got a domestic. I went on bail. I breached that bail. I went to jail, and then I asked for another bail, and I lost that bail. And you have one chance. If you breach your bail and you go to jail, you have one chance to get bail. If you don't get it, you have to sit in that jail till your trial comes. I remember sitting in Maplehurst from September 2013 to January. I think it was January. I pled guilty on December 24th, 2013, and it was at the end of January I went for sentencing. October, November, December. Yeah, so there was about 100 days before I pled guilty, and the conditions were so harsh. The lockdowns were harsh. I remember being on 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That was my first time ever in a jail, and it was tough. It was not easy. I seen a lot of shit. So to be honest, I wanted out. I was told I could wait over a year for my trial, and I wasn't going to do that. So I was like, I need to get out of remand, and I need to get into the sentence side. But that whole jail experience was completely bullshit. That abuse I endured in that jail was complete bullshit. That Maplehurst jail. I remember even I called my ex at that time, and I was going through shit at that time. I wasn't acting like myself. I remember being, going through shit. I remember I called my ex, and they charged me with criminal harassment. Amy Stevenson, who is still a Crown attorney at that jail, she wanted an additional 4 months on top of my sentence, which was 6 months. Justice Brown gave me 6 months. Basically, they wanted 4 more months. And I had duty counsel Ryan Gibson. I had Ryan Gibson, and I fired him. Ryan Gibson is a duty counsel up at the Kitchener-Waterloo courthouse. This was my lawyer. He dump trucked me. I should have never had this lawyer. I got screwed over in that Milton courthouse because I did not have a proper lawyer. I didn't have the money for a lawyer. And basically, when I got rid of Gibson, Amy Stevenson went up from 4 months to 6 months, and they ran that on top of my sentence that they gave me, those 6 months. So I did 4 months dead time. They gave me 6 months, and then they gave me another 4 months. So that was straight up bullshit. My first time in jail, I did almost 14 months. And that was Maplehurst and Penitentiary. And I'll tell you right now, I never checked in. And it was hard times, man. And, I'll have a whole conversation on that situation, and I don't mind talking about anything to sensible people. But that's why I went before Justice Brown. I remember thinking, he was fair, he was lenient, but I could not believe that comment he made. And then basically after he made that comment, Scott Arid sent me a text message. He sent me a long text message. Don't you ever contact me again. If you do, I'll have you charged for criminal harassment. This is what this piece of shit lawyer did to me. He basically dump trucked me. I asked him to request for a $300 fine. He refused to do that. Then he sent me that long text message. So he planned something out with that Arish Korshed. They did a deal behind my back. The way things went in place. So Arish basically wanted 30 days too. He wanted 30 days jail time. And Scott Arid was heavy on a fine. And I had no say into that. I paid this dump truck lawyer $1,700, taxes included, plus with taxes. He refused to listen to me and follow my instructions. My opinion, Scott Arid is a horrible lawyer. He does backdoor deals, like he did in my case, and then on top of that, he sent me that text message. When I left that courtroom, a lady came outside, a West Indian lady or a Spanish lady. I don't know. She had long hair. I don't know if it was in a braid, one braid. She said to me, "Are you okay?" And I remember thinking, no, I'm not okay. I can't believe this happened to me. There was 20, 30 people in that courtroom. Brendan Neal was in the back with his legs crossed, and he was looked like he should have had some popcorn. But, so this was a story I just want to share with the public. I got humiliated in this court. And for those people who don't know, I'm still dealing with all this bullshit in this Kitchener-Waterloo courthouse. All this corruption with 21 employees. I'm dealing with this police brutality case with a cop who not only put me in the hospital, used excessive force, he did the same thing to an 11-year-old in 2017. Both times, he was charged and they got dropped. Okay? But I've been dealing with this situation with my mom for 21 years. And it is fucking embarrassing what happened to me. Okay? It's bullshit what happened to my mother. And for those who don't know, my mom went to go help a coworker, these two girls who were rumored to be dealing drugs at a Swiss chalet, at a residence she had never been to before. And she ended up getting killed. She got shot in the head for helping somebody. So I need to get into that whole situation with my mom. How it's been handled by the Barrie police. And so I'm doing this video to, I got to lead into that. But there's so much shit I'm dealing with this Kitchener-Waterloo courthouse, this major police brutality case that nobody wants to talk about. All these investigative journalists, all these auditors, nobody wants to help me out and talk about this stuff. And I have been truthful in every single video. I have nothing to gain to mislead or lie to the public. And to be honest, it's how, I could be doing better things with my time than sharing these corrupted court stories, these police brutality stories, and what happened to my mother, which is just straight up bullshit. So this is where I'm at. I know what I heard, and those comments cannot be seen on transcripts, and they cannot be heard on the audio recording. So what happened to those comments? That, like I said, I reached out to these Fiverr forensic audio experts, but I need somebody to take the audio recordings that are not, you cannot convert these files to MP3s. I'm not supposed to I can't share them, but I need a forensic audio expert to stretch out the wavelengths and to see where it's been split, or to see where they stopped recording. I know what I heard. And And so this is another story of basically like a malicious prosecution, some form of courtroom corruption. I had this ding dong lawyer that pretty much set me up for failure, refused to take instructions, sent me a text. He even sent me a letter, I remember at the end, saying, oh, the Crown wanted 60 days jail time. No, they didn't. They were asking for 30 days jail time. And, you know what I mean? So I'm just, this is a developing story. This is a story that I've put on hold for over a year. Like I said, I've got the transcripts, I've got the audio recording, and these comments can't be heard. And I just want to know what happened. Did somebody edit the audio? Did somebody stop the recording? What happened? They know. You know what I mean? This is not adding up. So if you guys know anybody out there who is a forensic audio expert, I need your guys' help. And I need someone to analyze these audio recordings. And to maybe, you know what I mean? It's just, this is another event that happened in my life. It was unnecessary, that comment. And I'm just going to leave the video with that. I still got so much more to share with everybody. You know, they're trying to silence me. They're trying to stonewall me. I got someone from the government that's blocked 30 videos. Apparently, it's not the Attorney General. I requested, just heard back from Freedom of Information. I have to appeal that. This ain't adding up. This ain't adding up. So we got lots to talk about. Eventually, I need to start interviewing people, and I need to give a platform to people to share their personal experiences. If you're a credible person and you can, you know, you got a story you want to share of court corruption or court abuse, judicial abuse, malicious prosecutions, police brutality, and you've got your facts lined up and you know you've been done wrong, I want to hear from you guys. I want to give you guys a platform where we can talk, we can have a conversation, and you can share your story. Because I'm being silenced, I'm being screwed around, and you know what I mean? We got to get this conversation going on this crap that's happening in our courts. So I'm going to leave the video with that. This is another event in my life that's happened. You guys know what I'm looking for. You guys know what happened. You know, thank you guys for just watching this video and hearing me out. And I appreciate all your guys' support. I got new content coming. I got a whole lot of stuff, unresolved issues I need to share with the public. And you know what I mean? If you guys are going through something similar, hit me up, send me an email. And you know, hopefully I can help you guys out. And you don't have to go through a similar situation alone. And I just want you guys to know that I'm here to offer support to anyone that is just going through it. You know what I mean? You are not alone. Reach out to me. You got my email. And if you guys haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and let's get this conversation going, okay? This is another video, but let's talk about it. Lee, and you know what I mean? Thank you guys for watching.